Your source for all things Texas Tech. This is the Ask Level podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome into another episode of the Ask Level podcast, episode number 29 with Chris Level. I'm Chois Woodman. Quite a bit has changed since we last spoke last week, Level. When we spoke last week, there was a suspension for Mark Adams. Texas Tech had not yet played in the Big 12 tournament. A lot was still up in the air. There's still a lot of stuff up in the air, but more resolution, at least, as Mark Adams he stepped down this past week. Now Texas Tech is amid a coaching search. No team playing in the postseason for Texas Tech basketball after you lose out one game and done in the Big 12 tournament. So how's your week been?
Yeah, I think it just is kind of jarring to see how quickly you go from playing Oklahoma State in a regular season finale.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you look up basically a week later or less than a week later, I should say, and nobody works for your staff anymore. You've sent everybody kind of away, and some may have the chance to return, and you're not sure in any way what your roster looks like, and there's no more games to play. So it just you feel a bit. Like I said, it's just jarring just to see how kind of quickly this whole thing transpired. The speed with which it did transpire is probably for the best.
Sure.
But it's still just, I don't know. It's sad. It's a reality check. It's jarring. It's all these things because some of these people had nothing to do with anything. Mm-hmm. And it's just, but you don't know what the future holds. But anyway, it just all happened very, very fast. And I think that the inquiry that was done, I think as Regent, Dusty Womble, who's on the internal search committee, revealed on 97.3 on Saturday morning, I think he used the word dysfunction a lot. I think that's a fair word to use about the program this year. A lot of drama, a lot of dysfunction, and all that stuff. And I think that's ultimately why we're here, not because of what Mark Adams said to a player about the Bible. Just so I make that clear. I think there was a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, that's exactly what Dusty said in that interview, is that it didn't come down to a single moment. It was a combination of the entire season and what happened.
And you follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that typically is good. That is good advice in life when you're trying to kind of figure out things. And I think it is very fair to ask aloud why, when you owe somebody, $7.5 to $8 million, and you only pay them about $4 or a little less than $4, whatever. I think that there's, again, there's reasons why. So sure. I'll let other people get to the bottom of that. I just think that is worth pointing out. Nobody just leaves $4 million out there out of the goodness of their heart, kind of thing. That's just not how it works. So there's just different dynamics at play. But again, I think it's probably best for Coach Adams, and it's probably best for Texas Tech basketball that they kind of ride off into the sunset without each other. And I that's just my opinion. I think that it clearly worked in year one. It clearly did not in year two, but here we sit. So
have you ever seen a bigger fall from grace from one season to another like that, where, I mean, you're riding pretty high, Sweet 16, you run into a different team last year, it could have been better than the Sweet 16. Things were feeling pretty good at the end of last season to where you end up right now. You don't see that many one-year turnarounds like that, or in the wrong direction in sports.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Beard this past year.
That would be one of them.
Yeah. That's a bit, Yeah, I don't know. Like around here, probably not. Look, and a lot of people like Mark.
Sure.
I think care for him and appreciate everything that he did. I just think that I would be willing to bet that he would tell you that he is very relieved and stress free on a day like today compared to the constant worries and concerns that you have when you're in the middle of the machine like he was. But yeah, I mean, it was about as good as you could be or close to it. I mean, you weren't like winning championships or anything last year, but you were extremely relevant. You were Sweet 16. You're a few possessions away from knocking off Duke. I mean, you had a team that everybody thought was a pain in the ass to play against, and then this year it just wasn't. It wasn't any of that, and you just lost close game after close game after close game, just rinse and repeat, and then all the drama with whatever went on in Maui, with whatever went on throughout the deal, and Fardaw is in the portal or not in the portal, or are you making him play? Is he really hurt? I mean, all just constant, just stuff. I mean, just stuff. And then to have it end like this, I mean, yeah, that's a fair point.
All right, everybody wants to know the who, the names on the list, that sort of things. Before we get into that,
So do I.
Yeah, I know. You mentioned the committee. So this is similar to how Texas Tech did things last time around with Joey McGuire hiring in football, right? You've got a little committee together, people of...
That's how Mark was hired as well.
True. Yeah. So people of different backgrounds, a lot of diversity in there in terms of where they come from, what they're doing. I guess, why was this particular group chosen?
So I think I think Kirby, Dusty's a regent. Obviously Kirby Hocutt, the athletic director. I think we know Dusty is involved with football and basketball as much as the people around there want him to be.
Sure.
And I think he's got a vested interest in these two programs specifically. I think he wants the whole department to do well, but he's got a vested interest in these two programs doing well. I think, I'd said it from the onset. I mean, you need to go try to find the basketball version of Joey, and no better person to try to find that than the man himself. I think Joey can give, Kirby and Dusty and President Skuvanik or whoever else may be loosely involved with this. Here's how a coach thinks. Here's why I like this answer from him. Here's why I didn't like this answer. He could just give them a different perspective and point of view. And I think Norense Odiase is the same from a player standpoint and an alumni standpoint. So nobody's got anything bad to say about a guy like Norense. I think Norense played on the biggest stage of them all, and should have had the game-winning free throws there for to win the whole thing. But I just think he's so closely removed, or closely, I don't know if that's the right word, just recently removed from the program, that he's still, and he knows what it's supposed to look like when it's at its best, and he also knows some of the good, some of the bad, all those things. But I mean, I find it ironic though that before the Texas game in this building last year, okay, the chaotic one, when there's a circus tent outside of the rec fields, and but Norense and Joey were two that spoke to the student body before that game started, and I think that it's ironic that they are now on the committee, because they both got the microphone and addressed the fan base. And so it's some irony there.
No doubt. So when you're looking at the type of coach Texas Tech goes after, are we looking for an up and comer? Is this a guy that
I don't,
hot name? Like what do you think they're looking for here?
I don't know. Years ago, whenever they decided to replace Spike Dykes, they made the conscious effort, and they were like, we want somebody that is going to run a fast-paced or explosive offense. We want to light the scoreboard up.
Right.
And that decision alone branded Texas Tech football for years and years, and it still really holds true. And I think Mike Leach is the one that was hired. Rich Rodriguez, I think there was some concerns that he was going to take the job and then end up, he was the OC at Clemson, and then he was going to end up back at Clemson as the head coach and all those things. But Mike took the job, and I think he ran with it. Now, in this particular instance, your brand is probably defense, although it wasn't this year. But I just think you go find the best fit. I don't, and I would be leery. Look, I've seen the Rick Pitino and the Coach K and everybody tossing out all this stuff. I don't buy any of that for a second. I don't think that you're going to go hire somebody because it's a Band-Aid. It's somebody that one, it's far-fetched that they would want to come here, and I don't really know why you would want them to be here. Just because when you're that age, you're going to go hire somebody when you already immediately are wondering about recruiting cycles and like, man, are they going to even be here next year or 2 years? Or,
right.
There's all those questions immediately. So I just think you need to go find the best fit. I don't think it matters if they've been a head coach or an assistant now, or that they've been here before. Or I think that these are the following things. They need to be what I think would be termed as a good fit here, like a good idea of how this place works, what it's about, what its pros and cons are, and all those things. Doesn't mean you have to have been here before. I think you need to be an engaging personality. I mean, there's some common themes here between Wes Kitley, Tim Tadlock, Greg Sands, Joey McGuire in that conversation. There's a variety of people that are wildly successful here that have these this engaging personality. They are part of the community and all those things. And I think the second thing is you better have a really good feel for the portal and how to use it. Because you're going to need it. You're going to need it. And I think there's an NIL component. I think there's it's tricky. Is that young guy? Is that old guy? Older guy? Is that current head coach? Is that assistant? Is that somebody that's been here before? I mean, we could talk about various names, and I think some of those people fit that criteria. But again, I just circle all the way back to you need the basketball version of Joey, man, because he checks every box and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody, if you ask the Red Raider fan, the basketball version of Joey McGuire is probably what they would put on the wish list. That's what they would want. But who is that is the big question. Who has that kind of energy? Who has that kind of upside? Are there any names in particular on the watch list that come to mind for you? Or is it just
like, well, you put out a watch list this week. You take me through them.
Okay. Some of the younger guys.
Yeah.
Grant McCaslin's a name that's been mentioned a whole lot, the coach at North Texas right now. I know Fran Fraschilla, some others have been talking about him. Paul Mills at ORU has had a lot of success there. He's been at only ORU as a head coach. But he had a team that was a 1 3-pointer away from being the first ever 15 seed to get to the Elite Eight. So obviously, and he coached.
And Mills is somebody that is a Baylor assistant,
yes,
or a previous one, and has done well. He's
had
the
McCaslin played at Baylor too, right? Am I correct on that?
I just knew he worked at Texas Tech. His wife went to Texas Tech.
I knew he worked at Tech,
but he worked for Scott Drew for several seasons.
So
and look, Grant, I've known Grant for a long time. I mean, not well. I don't pretend to know him well. We would speak whenever I would see him some. He would always, I would be shocked if this is a job that he's not interested in.
Sure.
And look, and the naysayer may say, look, you're coaching North Texas. You're going to NIT. And so, but I think he's somebody you I think would be crazy not to talk to, and I think that they will. But I think Grant, look, I think that there's media folks out there that feel like, okay, he would be a pain to deal with here for the opposition. And what I mean by that is people would hate to see him get this job because they'd have to play against him and all those things twice a year in the league and all that. I don't know if he's a front runner. I just think he was, you mentioned Paul Mills. I think that makes some sense for some of the same reasons that, now he doesn't have any necessarily connections to Texas Tech and Lubbock like Grant does, but they, obviously Baylor assistants together. I think for a period of time, I think that's right. I think there was some crossover there. And obviously his tie to Tech, Paul Mills is he coached Kevin O'Banner.
Right.
And obviously didn't really miss a beat losing O'Banner at all, which is a credit to him as a coach. Sure. And I think has done it with not many resources and just an elite level scorer. And we'll see what they do later this week in the NCAA tournament as they play. I think, was it Duke in the first round?
Yeah, not an easy draw there.
Yeah,
hot team but it's 12-5 matchup.
And I think like I've heard, obviously Coach Peary's name because he was here last year when they were wildly successful. And I think many people, and I think it was alluded to Dusty the other day, that was really when things went sideways for Mark's tenure, is when Barrett was kind of, I don't mind saying it, kind of forced out. I'll let other people kind of figure out and connect dots on kind of how that played out. But Barrett had a lot to do with the way the roster was put together a year ago. Then you look at how the roster was put together this year.
Yeah.
I think
a lot different.
I think Andy Kennedy's name has been brought up to me as somebody, he's going to be in the NIT as well. I think Andy Kennedy and Grant McCaslin actually just played each other in their conference tournament late last week. And he's got UAB rolling. I think that people would tell you that he has a really good feel for how the portal is working and has used it. I think that there's people in Oxford that have told me that he is a big time personality, very, very smart. Stayed at Ole Miss for 12 years, that if they would have used the criteria that they use now, for NCAA tournament selection, like the quad stuff, the net rankings and all that, there was probably 3 other chances where he would have probably made the tournament. And so, and he coached Marshall Henderson. So if you can coach Marshall Henderson, you can coach anybody. And I mean that as a compliment too. I loved Marshall Henderson. He the land shark guy, right?
He was
but there's going to be some wild cards here. There's going to be some names. You hear about Coach McCollum at what is it, Northwest Missouri State, I think is. You hear the College of Charleston head coach. And these are just mid-major types. These are folks that maybe have some connections here. But this isn't by any means a list. I mean, because I think Jerome Tang makes the most sense to me, or Calvin Sampson. Kelvin Sampson, excuse me.
Yeah, Kelvin.
I think that makes the most sense, but I just don't know if those are realistic or not.
Sure. Like if you could, those are obviously the names at the top of the list. Yeah. What about the 2 with the Texas connections and Rodney Terry? If Texas, he may have locked his spot into Texas this past weekend. But if Texas says no to him, or Shaka Smart, who has had a ton of success since leaving the Big 12 conference, any sort of reality in pursuing those for Tech?
Yeah, I think Rodney Terry would make a lot of sense. I do think, though, that he's very close to landing that job on a permanent basis. I think that he's going to make it, but them winning the Big 12 tournament championship and being a 2 seed?
2 seed. Yeah.
I think if they win to the Sweet 16, I think you almost have to give him that job. Again, you don't have to do anything, but I think he will have forced their hand a bit. It would be very strange to go a different direction based on what he's done. And again, time will tell if that was the right move or not. I just also don't know what direction they go if they don't end up, promoting Rodney Terry. But I do think that he's somebody that would be worth talking to if he is out and available. Spent a lot of time at UTEP, but he's kind of a UT guy. He spent a lot of time on Beard's staff. On Rick Barnes's staff, and then was obviously on Beard's staff. I think Chris Ogden, if Rodney Terry stays there, I think Chris Ogden would stay. I think the bulk of that staff would remain intact. But yeah, he is, and I've thought about Joe Golding, who's at UTEP now, and they didn't have a very good year this year. I think that's a very difficult job. There was a time when I think Joe Golding would have made a lot of sense to at least visit with about this job. He's one of Chris Beard's best friends, and I think they grew up together. I should say. So anyway, I don't think that is necessarily again, but it doesn't hurt to talk to these people. But I just I'm not sure where. I think this could take a bit, I guess, is my point.
Yeah.
I think this could take a bit just because some of these guys play games Wednesday night,
right,
Thursday, Friday. I think that, and again, the portal window opens up early this week. And so, you're trying to get it done as quickly as you can. And hopefully somebody knocks your socks off, and like has a good plan and a good feel and you feel is the right fit. And the other thing too is all these people, like what are you going to surround yourself with when you're here? Because that was the secret with Chris Beard here, is that one, engaging in the community made so many different people feel like they were important and involved. Got sideways with a few people as well, but for the most part made everybody feel like, and that's why it frustrated everybody so much whenever he left, or it hurt so bad. But the beauty of Chris was he surrounded himself with elite people, and I think that that's the key for the next guy is, okay, who do you surround yourself with? You've got to have quality, because this league's a monster, man. I mean, it is. There's no gimmies here, and so you've got to have everything kind of tightened up with good staff and budget and roster and all that, because everybody else is pushing their chips to the middle of the table as well in this league when it comes to basketball.
A couple basketball related questions from the audience. Logan asks, there's another one on a name. Any chance at all Tech looks at Rick Barnes?
I mean, to me, that makes more sense than Rick Pitino or someone like Mike Krzyzewski. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Right.
But I mean, he's the back end. I think he's got a really good job now. I think that he's got it rolling now. I guess I would say I don't know why Rick Barnes would want to talk to you. That's because Tennessee's. I mean, he's really had that thing rolling. I think he's got great support, and so I can't say that you shouldn't talk to him. I just don't know if I'm him, why I would visit with you, if that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
This is from Paolo. It says, is Texas Tech going to be seen as a football school for a while?
Is that Bancaro?
It's not. I don't think so. The guy that got mistaked for Pat Mahomes at the F1 race.
Okay, yeah. I didn't. Yeah. You said Paolo? Is that what you said?
Paolo, yeah.
Paolo, okay, yeah.
Paolo from Twitter.
Yeah, okay.
Is Tech going to be seen as a football school for a while?
I don't think so. And the reason I say that is, one, you could start to be really successful in football here, and I think that is not a bad thing. I just don't know if really. I mean, look, you've been really good in baseball for a stretch, really good in track and field. Nobody attaches these labels to you when it comes to, I don't know why you can't be good at both when it comes to football and men's basketball. But we'll kind of see how this plays out. I think the thing about this job is there's a lot of support for it. There's a lot of resources here for it. There's a lot of facility here for it. And we'll just kind of see what this thing looks like in the next, week or so as this thing gets kind of moved into a different direction. But I just don't see the support financially and all that going away. And so that means that you're going to try to be very relevant there. And with that, I mean, again, you were in the Sweet 16. Less than a year ago. Sweet 16. That's elite level territory. You've been in the NCAA tournament for the last 6 years. Elite Eight, Final Four. I mean, championship game, Sweet 16. I mean, this is big time stuff. You haven't touched this level of success football wise hardly ever. I mean, nationally, think about it.
Level, you mentioned that Tech was in the top 10 in terms of consecutive tournament appearances coming into this season. Obviously, that's going away now, but your four in a row tournament appearances is top 10. That shows how difficult it is to get to the tournament consistently and where this program has been. So, yeah. And this question from Juan is
and
kinda,
it's technically 4 out of 5 years though, because
correct, but 4 consecutive tournaments.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah.
You don't like the COVID banner up
I
there at
am
the top of the arena?
I'm going to go on record saying I'm not a fan. I don't know who's keeping that up there at this point. Juan asks a similar question, kind of in line with that. Do you think with all the craziness in men's basketball, does this drop our program, or can we rebound and keep the success going?
Well, I mean, there was never a time when it was crazier when Chris Beard left on April the 1st.
True.
And you felt your roster at that point was somewhat depleted. You had some holdover players, which I think were key factors. And you don't know who your staff is going to be. And then you ended up in the Sweet 16. So
Sure.
I think you've answered your own question. You can rebound it rather quickly. Now you need a little luck. You need help, to be healthy, and you need somebody like a Bryson Williams that's a unicorn that is extremely. I mean, you may not get another one of those. It's about like a once every 100 years type guy, and I'm talking about that, like the way he is wired, the way how mature he was, the talent level, and all those things. But to answer your question, yeah, absolutely, you can rebound this thing very quickly. I mean, look at Kansas State.
Perfect example.
Kansas State was rock bottom last year. They're picked to finish last in the league this year. What are they, a 3 seed?
They're a 3 seed in the tournament.
Yeah. And you'd be lucky to get their coach to talk to you about your job. You'd be lucky to even have a conversation there because of kind of how quickly he turned that. And they're going to back up the truck and go, no, we got us one now. We're going to pay him whatever he wants.
They will.
Yeah, I mean, so, yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, you can absolutely get it turned quickly.
This last question from Matthew asks, how many players do you think we'll have back on this roster from next year or for next year?
I think some of that's going to depend on who you hire. Some of that's going to depend on how long it takes to hire them. That is an impossible question to answer at this point. I think, we've seen the rumors about Elijah Fisher. We've seen the rumors about Fardaws going in the portal. I think I've heard Davion Harmon is going to do that as well, or just skip his last year of eligibility. And I don't think he's ruled anything out. And again, like with Fardaws and Elijah Fisher, just because if they go into the portal, if that's what happens, doesn't mean they can't remove their name and stay right here, depending on who's hired. And you're just simply keeping your options open. So I think, but here are the facts. A new coach will be tied to their current players. Could be tied to certain players out there.
Sure.
May come in and go, yeah, I think you guys, it would be best if y'all, had another, go somewhere else. So I think that whose decision it is, who's making that decision, what are the reasons for that decision on, do I stay, do I go, do I want to be here, do I not want to be here, do they want me here, do they not want me to be here? I mean, all those things,
right.
And it's a bit tricky because, and you need to hold on to some of these guys. I don't think you can, you literally cannot afford for like a mass exodus here, or you're kind of in a bit of a bind. So anyway.
So I think, we've had 3 players announce intentions or hopes to stay, if you want, but like you said, that is still so much in the air. I believe Tyson implied it, Pop Isaacs implied it, and Kyron Lindsey, who that's going to be an interesting case because he right now doesn't have a free transfer anymore. Right?
Well, neither would Jalen Tyson,
or Tyson.
Neither would Daniel Bacho, neither would Demarion Williams, neither would Kerwin Walton. Now, they could, in fact, claim to the NCAA that they have suffered mental anguish.
That's the big loophole that they allowed for,
and all these things, and then be granted a waiver because of what they've endured, or whatever they would claim. And then be allowed to transfer and be eligible immediately. But short of that, they're kind of they can transfer, but they'd have to sit a year.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think there's a lot.
plenty.
Again, I know, and people get sick of hearing I don't know, or I don't, but there's so much of this that is so fluid that it could change by 2 hours from now. It could change variety of times within the next week on just one player, much less an entire roster. But that's how quickly it all moves at this day and time, especially once seasons start to end this week from folks in the NIT and the NCAA.
Yeah, this is it's going to be a crazy couple of weeks here. We have no idea what what direction Texas Tech's going to go. And a lot of it is a waiting game because most of your candidates are going to be active right now with the NCAA tournament. So that's what you want. So it's going to be pretty fun to keep an eye on. But this is
one thing. Some of the names we talked about are not.
Yeah,
they're not involved. Yeah, they're not. So yeah, UAB is in there. Kansas State's in there. Iona is in there. Oral Roberts is in there. Excuse me, I said UAB. I mean Oral Roberts. UAB's in NIT.
NIT.
I mean, and again, there's
UNT.
College of Charleston. His name.
They're in
the NCAA. But there's, again, where does this thing stop? Start? These are just names of other people, because the way it works too is agents get involved, float their names out. Search firms are gathering info and recommending, we think you should talk to these folks. I mean, so you just have to be careful of what's out there and what you believe.
But one thing is true. This is an important hire in terms of keeping that success. One year, you can have a down year and still get back up off the mat pretty quickly. But to keep that momentum of your basketball program, this one is pretty vital.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And it really, for that person, the work starts immediately, because you have to re-recruit the players here. You have to start to build your culture, because that's just what you really didn't have this past year. I think when you hear dysfunction and you hear all these terms that are thrown around describing the season, drama and all that, it's basically just counter to having strong culture, which you clearly didn't have, or it would have been not dysfunctional or whatever. When you have strong culture, you don't hear words like that, so.
Yeah. So no doubt. Level, hey, you're in the school business. You get spring break now, right?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, okay.
Yeah, a little bit for the old day job, yeah. So I'll get to watch some NCAA tournament and kind of just process this week and figure out who the Red Raiders are going to hire here. Yeah. So we'll kind of be working on all that together, I guess.
So does the NCAA tournament is without Texas Tech in it? Is it sulking mode? Is it kind of just like, oh, I hate this, or are you still able to enjoy it at all? I know it's been a while since
all the above.
Okay.
I would say that when you're there and in it and you're playing on a Thursday or Friday, you really don't get to hotel room where you can kind of watch games and things like that, but you're just kind of in the machine and all that. And so I guess I will try to enjoy being able to sit back and process it and watch it just like as a normal, because and it's funny because you take it for granted that you've just like, hey man, we're gonna just go every year. Well, I mean,
it's so easy to do.
Necessarily. Yeah, exactly. And you go for that little stretch right there, and then you realize, okay, it's hard to get there and hard to get there consistently, and as we've just found out here. So.
I mean, you're so right. And not Tech fans, but every fan, it's easy to fall into that territory. Like I grew up on Tech football thinking it was my God-given right to get to watch Tech in a bowl game. Yeah. I thought that. Same for baseball, where it's like, hey, we go to Omaha. It's what we do. So no basketball. You've been in this territory where times are good and they can go away so fast. So you gotta soak it in. So Level, enjoy your spring break, and we'll have plenty to talk about next time as well, I'm sure.
You got it, man. Keep hope alive. We'll talk to you next week.
That's Chris Level. I'm Chois Woodman. You've been tuned in to the Ask Level podcast, powered by Double T 97.3.
You've been listening to the Ask Level podcast, powered by Double T 97.3.